My dear fellow Indian citizens, friends, and colleagues in the legal profession, today we are witnessing how the Election Commission of India is conducting itself. Excuses, evasions, and a partisan and pliable election commission resulting in diminishing democracy. The Election Commission of India, once the proud guardian of Indian democracy, has fallen into deep crisis of credibility nowadays. The Modi government had enacted the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners appointment conditions and service and terms of office Act 2023, and it came into force on January 2nd, 2024. This law discarded the appointment mechanism laid down by the Supreme Court, which required a selection panel consisting of the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, and the Chief Justice of India. The new act removed the Chief Justice of India from the panel, replacing him with a Union Cabinet Minister nominated by the Prime Minister, thereby giving the executive or the government an absolute control over the appointment of election commissioners with the token presence of opposition leader in the selection panel. The new act ominously set the stage for the troubling developments witnessed in the elections that followed. In the last one decade of its rule, the Modi government has systematically eroded the autonomy of the institutions entrusted with the safeguarding democracy, and Election Commission became the first victim of such institutions. Without CJA's presence, the system is totally tilted in favor of the ruling party. How can then we expect impartiality from the poll body? After the 2024 Lok Sabha elections severe setback, Modi government turned its attention fully on election commission manipulation and management apart from EVMs, and dramatically posted the unexpected victories in Maharashtra and Haryana assembly elections. The Congress, the main opposition party Congress, repeatedly voiced suspicions of electoral irregularities, citing patterns that appeared far from ordinary. Across several constituencies, discrepancies in voters' lists were reported. Eligible names were found missing, while the dubious entries were allegedly retained. And in a number of seats, Bharatiya Janata Party victories came with strikingly narrow and suspiciously uniform margins, even in the constituencies where Congress and India Bloc candidates had been expected to perform strongly. Rahul Gandhi and other Congress leaders further charged the Election Commission had abandoned its neutrality, failing to act on opposition complaints and dismissing them without adequate inquiry. They also pointed to the Commission's refusal to expand VVPAT slip verification despite persistent demands, a decision that deepened the doubts over the integrity of electronic voting machines. Compounding these concerns was the Election Commission's opaque handling of data, marked by delays in releasing constituency-level details and its reluctance to investigate complaints raised by the opposition parties. These factors deepened the public skepticism and created a widespread perception that the electoral machinery had been tilted in favor of the ruling party. Here is a fine example. During the Karnataka Lok Sabha elections in the Bangalore Central constituency, where the Congress candidate initially held a decisive lead, the BJP eventually prevailed over an unusual spike in voting numbers in its Mahadevpura segment. When the Congress sought access to the digital rolls, the EC flatly refused, providing only paper rolls that were nearly impossible to examine at scale. The leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, personally took interest in the matter, commissioning a 6-month investigation by his team. The findings were damning. Of the 1,250,000 suspicious entries identified, 11,965 were duplicate voters registered in the multiple booths, sometimes across the states. 40,009 carried fake or invalid addresses, including house numbers like 0 or nonsensical strings 10,452 were bulk registrations with dozens of voters crammed into single-room homes, or even businesses such as a brewery that housed 68 voters. 4,132 carried invalid or unrecognizable photos, and 33,692 appeared to reflect misuse of Form 6, including implausible registrations of very elderly individuals, even non-agenarians. Some examples bordered on the absurd, yet they were incontrovertible. The BJP ultimately won Bengaluru Central by a margin of 32,707 votes, decisively aided by its margin of 1,14,046 votes in Mahadevapura. Even though the Congress candidates had led in all the 6 other segments of this constituency, Mahadevapura was just one example. Similar manipulations were suspected elsewhere, yet when the Congress again pressed for the digital rolls to enable a meaningful investigation, the EC refused outright. Gyanesh Kumar, the CEC appointed under the Modi government's controversial enactment New Act 2023, took partisanship to a new low. His press conference, convened to refute Rahul Gandhi claims, ended up exposing the Commission's own frailties. His explanations were neither credible nor technically sound, and would hardly convince any reasonable observer, let alone those familiar with the data systems. Instead of acknowledging these lapses, he exposed not the strength of the Election Commission, but its weaknesses, not the impartiality, but bias, not accountability, but excuses. Instead of addressing concerns impartially about voter theft, the Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar issued a strange ultimatum to the leader of the opposition to submit an affidavit within 7 days or apologize to the nation. This reduced a constitutional issue into a personal confrontation, making the commission look like a political rival rather than a neutral statutory authority. Even more absurd was his refusal to share CCTV footage on the pretext that it would violate the privacy of women. Transparency could easily be ensured with safeguards. This excuse drew derision and exposed the Commission's reluctance to submit itself to the public scrutiny. Equally problematic was CEC Kumar's rhetorical question: why do politicians raise such issues only after election results instead of when voter lists were shared with booth level agents? This argument is misleading. Electoral fraud is often visible only after polling, when bogus voting patterns and abnormal booth turnouts becomes clear. To blame the opposition for raising issues too late is simply an attempt to hide the Commission's flaws. His conduct and replies created an unmistakable impression that he proved the apprehensions of Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the father of Indian Constitution, his apprehensions true, who said in the Constituent Assembly on June 16, 1949, while replying to the discussion on Article 289, now the Article 324 dealing with Election Commission of the Constitution, that he said, in the absence of constitutional provision preventing the government of the day to select an unworthy person to head the Election Commission, it might appoint either a fool or a knave as Election Commissioner, who would in all likelihood come under the thumb of the executive. That those apprehensions now have become true. The Elections Commission's partisan role as an agent of the BJP is most starkly revealed in the controversial Special Investigation Revision of Electoral Rolls currently underway in Bihar. Instead of taking opposition parties into confidence, the EC has chosen to fight them tooth and nail in the Supreme Court and in the public domain as well, defending an exercise riddled with flaws. Why would EC undertake such a dubious and destabilizing project? There is no plausible explanation except that it is executing the BJP's political strategy. After the shocking setback in 2024 Lok Sabha elections, the BJP appears determined to insulate itself from the risk of electoral defeat. It has effectively captured the Election Commission, ensuring that regardless of how people actually vote, the institution will tilt the scales in its favor. This is the grim reality we face today. The Election Commission is the final authority to declare election results, And if he does so, irrespective of the people's mandate, the BJP will never be dislodged from the power in normal course. In such a scenario, what remedy would remain for the people? It is time perhaps to begin composing a requiem for the Indian democracy. This is the root of today's crisis, my friends. The Chief Election Commissioner and his colleagues, chosen under the present flawed system of appointment of election commissioners under 223 Act, cannot inspire confidence or fully honor their constitutional duty as enshrined in the Constitution of India. If India wants an independent and trustworthy election commission, the 2023 amendment or enactment must be scrapped and the selection panel reconstituted to include the Chief Justice of India as one of the 3 members of the selection panel. Democracy depends not only on the laws but on the trust of the people. And once the trust is broken, no institution, least of all the election commission, can perform its duty. So it is high time that the people of India should awaken to our responsibility to protect the Constitution and also to restore the credibility, the autonomy and of the statutory commission like Election Commission of India by bringing pressure on the lawmakers and to restore the earlier procedure which was given by the Supreme Court of India for the appointment of election commissioners of CEC. Thank you. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat, Jai Constitution.